Hey my craft friends, Tracy here with Sweet Bay Lane. And in this video, we're going to be crafting a gorgeous piece of home decor that is very unique using Dollar Tree tumbling tower game pieces. So if you're ready to do that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and run down the supplies we're going to be using for this DIY. You'll need a straight edge. I'm going to be using this framer square. I purchased it from, I believe, Lowe's. You'll also need 3 boxes of the tumbling tower games from Dollar Tree, along with paints that kind of descend in color, starting from white, then light, then your darkest color. And you'll also need a stain in your favorite color. I'm going to be using this Americana gel stain in walnut. And then I'm going to be using these 2 colors of paint. My darkest color is going to be the Tuscan Teal by Apple Barrel, and this one is from Anita's, and it's called Morning Blue. And I got this at Hobby Lobby and this at Walmart. And you'll need a white, and I'm just going to be using the Standard White by Apple Barrel. You'll also need some wood glue. So let's go ahead and get started with our project. Okay, now to start our project, we want to prepare our surface, and I'm going to be using some parchment paper that I purchased from Dollar Tree. You can also use wax paper. You just want something that isn't going to stick to your project. You'll also need your framer square or your straight edge for this step as well. And we start by taking our wood glue, and we're going to be just gluing 3 tumbling tower blocks together. We'll glue them in sets of 3, and we start by putting our first set of 3 down in the corner of our framer square. And I like to clean up the glue as I go. We continue on gluing our 3 pieces of tumbling tower game together. And we're going to alternate and glue the pieces together. We'll go vertically, then horizontally, vertically, horizontally, until we get 8 across and 8 up. Then once we get that done, we'll start filling in our square, and I'll show you what it looks like after this. And then we have this beautiful square of wood consisting of the 192 tumbling tower game pieces. And what I love about these together is they add such a beautiful texture to your project for such an inexpensive price. That's what I love most about it. So let's continue on with our project. Now we're going to stain our complete board with our favorite stain. And if you know me at all, I'm going to be using this Americana gel stain in walnut. So let's get to staining. And then we have our piece of stained wood. Now I did it on both sides because I kind of like that to be finished. But I'll show you the difference between wiping the glue. This is the surface where I wiped the glue as I went along and glued everything together. And I think it looks so pretty. But here's the side where I couldn't wipe the glue. And this will give you an idea of what happens when you don't wipe your glue. You'll see that the paint and the stain kind of don't take on top of the glue. It says you can stain with this glue, but it's kind of weird. But maybe you like that, I don't know, but I just think it's a little bit weird in the finish. So we have our stained board. Now we're going to start our painting process. Now for our next step, we're going to paint our wood squares. And for this, I'm going to start out with my lighter blue. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape for this, just because my hands are a little shaky today for the painting. I don't think I could really paint that square perfectly. So I'm going to just tape off my corners, and I'm going to paint those blue. So as you'll see, I have my corners taped off, and I'm going to paint these the light blue. you'll also want to get the edges as well. And that's where the tape really comes in handy. And I'm not sure, maybe I'll leave this kind of rustic and see-through. We'll see. We'll see. I'll paint the rest of my squares and then we'll see where we're at. So I ended up giving it 3 coats, and I found it was easier to just use the little makeup sponge that I usually use to paint my stencils and things. So once I have these 4 corners painted and they've dried, I remove the painter's tape. And make sure you save it because we're going to reuse it here in just a minute. So let me get this painter's tape off and I'll be right back. Now we have our painter's tape off of those squares, and we're going to be using the same painter's tape, and we're going to tape off these squares, and it's going to be the second square in from this. So you're going to count 1, well actually it's the third, 1, 2, 3. This square right here from each corner, and then we're going to tape those off and do the same process with painting it the light blue. So this is what it's going to look like around that square. And we're going to do that for each square, counting 3 in from our corners. So let me go ahead and get those taped up and painted, then we'll be continuing on. So now we have our 4 squares painted, and we're going to remove the painter's tape like we did the corners. So let me go ahead and get this tape removed, and then we'll be back to paint some more. Here's what we have so far. Now it's going to get a little tricky, but not too bad actually if you just take your time. We'll start by taking our painter's tape, and we're going to be painting this square right here. And how to do that is we're going to tape this off in half. We're going to split the square right down the center diagonally, as I'm showing you here, right down the center diagonally. And we're going to take this square right next to this light blue one, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to cut it in half diagonally with our tape. So now we will have 2 pieces of tape and then this square here. And then we'll take another piece of tape and we're going to tape off this side of our square along with our blue side as well. And we'll do that for all 4 sides. Okay, so this is how we're going to have it taped off for this next step. As you'll see, we have this one cut in half where we want to paint this side of this square, and then we want to paint this side of this square. And we continued all the way around. Now we're going to take and paint these squares white with the apple barrel white. Hey guys, if you like what you see so far, don't forget to hit that like button and also subscribe because we'd love to have you here at Sweet Bay Lane. Well, back to our craft. Just making sure that your tape is pushed down really good as you can get it. That way you'll have less paint bleed. And we'll just continue until all 4 of these are done. Now we have that done. We're going to tape off and we're going to be working with our blue, our darker blue color to fill in. So for this step, we want to tape off like we did the white. We're going to tape off for the blue. And for this one, we're going to be taping this one in half. And we'll tape over our white here. Filling in our corners. And now we'll do that all 4 sides. And I'll be back when I'm done with that. So this is what you'll have when you get done taping off all 4 of these little squares. Then we're going to bring in our dark blue and start painting that as well. Okay, once we get that done, we're left with this pattern. Now we want to add some white to this and to this. And to do that, we're just going to do like we did before. We're going to tape this in half diagonally, this one, which is 1, 2, 3 in. And we're going to tape off this one as well. So this is what we're going to have, and I'll continue this around and I'll paint it and I'll be right back. And now we have white. We have white on the blue side and we're going to do blue on the white side. So let's go ahead and get that taped off and painted as well. And we're going to do it the same way we did the white side. We're going to start by 1, 2, 3 down. We're going to tape it off down diagonally. And then we'll tape off, and we'll do that all around and paint it the darker blue color. And just in case I've lost anyone, which hopefully I haven't, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're doing it. We're taping off this one to where we're going to paint this side. We're going to tape off the bottom of this one. Then we're going to tape off our white that we already painted. So we have this covered, so it's like the little, what do they call this? I forgot what they call this. Does anyone remember from geometry what they call this shape? I forgot. Anyway, then we'll come in and we're going to paint it the darker blue color. And I'll go ahead and get these painted and I'll be right back. So we have this pattern now. Now we're going to be adding a blue to this side of the white. And to do that, we're just going to tape it off this block here, and it's going to be the corner of the light blue and the edges of the white. And we'll tape that down diagonally. Then we're going to take and tape this block down diagonally, matching up with the edge of this white triangle here. And we'll just continue taping that off and paint these. These are going to be painted the dark blue. So let me get this done and I'll be back. Okay, now we have our shapes taped off, and these are going to be the dark blue. And this may seem very difficult. It isn't. It really isn't. It just seems like it is because you have to do so many steps, but it's actually very easy. And the finished product is gorgeous. And if you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer them if I can. This community is so amazing. I love each and every one of you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish painting this, and then we'll continue on to our next step. Okay, so now we have that done. For our next step, we're going to be painting, we want to attach a white version to this side. Or this side. Actually, what it's going to do is connect these two blues, the bottom corner of this and the upper corner of that. So let's go ahead and tape that off, get it painted, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're left with this pattern now. Now we're going to be painting these two blocks next to our light blue box. And we're going to split those in half diagonally, and we're going to paint those the dark blue. So let's go ahead and get all of them taped off and get them painted. And the difference between this one is we don't need to worry about anything in the middle. We just need to tape down the center and the side of our light blue. And then we'll paint it with our darker blue. So we'll go around, and once we're done, or you can start and just do the one side, which is fine. And you just tape it down. And once we have our center painted, we're left with this beautiful quilt pattern, which I think is so gorgeous. And you could leave it just like this. You can hang it, you know, hanging like that, or you can hang it like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and give mine a little bit of distressing, and then I'll show you the next step. So, see you on the flip side. Okay, now I'm back from distressing it, and I think it looks so gorgeous distressed. It just kind of sped up the aging process for us a little bit. So now I'm going to turn mine like this. And what I did is I'm going to personalize mine with an initial. And to do this, I just used some permanent smart vinyl by Cricut with my silhouette machine. And I cut out the letter, and then I just stick the letter right in the center of my project here. And then once we have our initial on, we have this beautiful personalized barn quilt made from tumbling tower blocks. Now I'm going to finish mine with a clear matte enamel from Rust-Oleum. Once I get this sprayed on, I'll show you the finished barn quilt. Well, that wraps it up for this DIY, and I hope this inspires you to make one of these for your own. Well, until next time, keep it crafty.